Happy New Year, guys. It is Triple E EDC back again with the top 15 knives of 2023. I'm going to get into these right away. Obviously it's impossible to try out all the knives, so I'm giving you my top 15 off the ones that I tried out this year. There might be a couple of them that I'm missing, and I'm going to hit, a couple of the ones that I think might have been in my top 15 if I just, had tried them out. One of those is actually, this is the Winter Blades Factor, which would have been probably in my top knives of 2022 if I did one. I didn't do one. I've done them every year except for 2022. But this probably would have been in my top 10 last year. And I didn't get a chance to try out the Severn this year, but knowing how much I love this one, absolutely love this one, I guarantee I would have liked the Severn, and it seems to be on the top list for a lot of other people. So, it's not on my list. I'm just telling you that up front because of the fact that I just didn't get my hands on one. But I will be looking out to get one in 2024. So I'll put that to the side. We'll call the Severn an honorable mention. Another one that's an honorable mention here is I just wanted to point out CRKT is stepping up their game. So happy to see that. They're partnering with Lion Steel for this collaboration on this Michael Walker design. This is the CRKT Pursue. Has twist steel and carbon fibers. I love the fact that they're getting into micromilling and things even in the carbon fiber. Absolutely love it. They're really stepping up their game, and they're partnering with Hogue for a lot of American-made stuff. They're partnering with Lion Steel for some of the premium stuff. It is really great to see what they're doing, and I can't wait to see what they do in 2024. To be honest, they've always been a company that is very creative in what they're doing, and I think now that they're starting to add in some premium stuff, that they'll be a company to watch going forward. This is the Rayot T1000. The prototypes came out in 2022, but the knife actually came out in 2023. I absolutely love this knife. It is just a big chunker, but it didn't make the list. It is an honorable mention, mainly because as much as I absolutely love it, I mean, it's the hollow grind on this is nice and thin, even though this thing is super thick. For an overbuilt knife, it really gives you something different than what you're used to getting when you get, usually you're getting a Medford, or you're getting, the Midgard's Messer stuff. That's the really thick stuff. The PMP, Alpha Beast and stuff like that. This just has a different look to it, and I absolutely love the fact that Rayot went here. This is not something I normally expect from Rayot, so this is something that I thought was great that they did this year. Here's why I didn't put it in the top 15. This lock that they put on here, obviously it works, and, it locks it out here, so you can't close it either, and it turns the knife into what, many people would call a veritable fixed blade. But I honestly think a lot of it gets in the way sometimes. Sometimes in your pocket, one of these gets pushed, and then you pull it out, and you're like, that's annoying, right? That type of thing where you're just like, it's in your pocket, and one of these or both of these gets pushed, and you're not expecting it to be pushed. It's kind of annoying to have to do that extra action every time to unlock it in order to get it open. So as much as I absolutely love this, and this is really an engineering feat, this didn't make my top 15, but it is close enough that I wanted to mention it here as an honorable mention. All right, now let's go ahead and get into the actual top 15. So at number 15 is a knife that many people will probably be lamenting that I put in here, and will be saying, what the hell, Triple E EDC? And that is the Benchmade Narrows. So the Narrows is a knife that I didn't know what to think when it came out. Honestly, when it first came out, I didn't necessarily like it. Let me pull another knife out here. I've got, whoops, hitting the camera here, but I've got an Anthem here. There we go. So the Benchmade Anthem is one of my favorite Benchmades of all time. It is just, it's an integral. It's a great piece. It's titanium, Osborne design, fantastic piece, right? So the Narrows is, but the people didn't buy the Anthem because it was like $500 when it came out. It was like, and so then the Narrows came out, and people got a hold of this, and anyone who's held an Anthem was like, hey, this is also $500. What the hell, Benchmade? Because this, frankly, it doesn't feel anywhere near as solid as the Anthem. It's obviously not an integral. as the Anthem was. It doesn't have like all the crazy, you know, titanium milling and everything on here. So people were a little bit annoyed that this ended up being $522, and that when they got it in hand, it felt a little, well, not quite flimsy, but thin. And frankly, I really like this design. It is it's kind of an engineering feat to be able to give you something so freaking thin that it this literally disappears in your pocket. You can wear this, and you know some knives you can just feel weighing down your belt. You don't even know this is in your pocket, much less on your belt, right? Like, you just forget it's there. And so that's really the upside on this. Also, the fact that it's so thin means this can be, give you a full-size knife option with with dress clothes and things like that, and slacks. It won't tear up your slacks pocket. It won't give you any of those issues that some of the other knives get, because it's mostly smooth here, and it's so thin that you're not going to get it dragging along your pocket. So I really think this is a good knife. The knife itself, actually, the blade is not, it's pretty comparable to the Anthem. It really is. As you can see here, it's just the handle that is the thing that people don't know what to make of. But it's on bearings. The actual steps that the axis lock has here are really fun to use. It's super, it's super smooth in the way it operates. This is not for everyone, and it's not for somebody who doesn't have other knives. But for us collectors, I like it. I think this is a great piece. And, I know one, like, Knife of the Year or something at, what was it, SHOT Show or Blade Show, or I don't know which one. But it won, like, a Knife of the Year, and I wouldn't put it that high. I think that was a little bit of a reach, maybe sort of an engineering kudos to Benchmade. But frankly, I put this at number 15 for the year, and I think it's deserving of it. Number 14 for the year is one that honestly has been out before. This just came out. This is the Spyderco Stretch 2 XL. And this is the, I don't know how to say it, the Damascus and Nishijin glass fiber, I think is what it's called, Nishijin glass fiber. So they made a version of this in the regular Stretch 2 a number of years ago. And the Nishijin glass fiber was also in another knife, I can't remember which one, a while ago. The Stretch 2 also came out. It's Stretch 2 XL, I should say, came out, I think, last year. So, is it really a new knife for 2023? I don't know. But what I will say is I like large knives, and the Stretch 2 XL, out of all the knives that, that the, Seki City Spyderco's come out of, the Endura, the Indela, the Delica, that whole line of knives, I really like this feel on the Stretch 2 XL compared to those knives. Honestly, I think this might be my favorite platform out of all of those. And I find myself carrying it actually a little bit more than my Spyderco Military. So if you're a long blade guy and you like your Spyderco Military, I've been carrying this a little bit more than my Spyderco Military recently, and it's a really, really nice knife. Also, it's just something cool and different for your collection. It's glossy, as you can see here. It has that shiny blue glass fiber, and the Damascus the Spyderco does is a VG10 core Damascus, and I think it's a weird looking Damascus to go with their weird looking knives, and I really like it. So that's number 14 for me. Number 13 for me is another knife that sort of came out already, but is new for 2023, and that is the Spyderco Paysan. So I think this Paysan has been out since 2021. The original one had terrible lock stick and some other issues, and it really took away from the knife. This is the CQI version, constant quality improvement version that they came out with for 2023. And this is an integral knife designed by Peter Rosenti. This is excellent. It is honestly one of my favorite Spydercos of all time. This has really taken a really nice place in my collection, and I have those Holman Hatfield display cases for my knives, and this is one of the knives that I have on the top shelf of this display case. Absolutely love this thing. The mirror finish that they have on here, it's like a stone-washed mirror finish. That's the same finish they put on the Sleege Bowie, and it is also on several other Taichung Spydercos. But they just have done such a good job on this. I know it's a little thick behind the edge, but honestly, I don't mind. Anyone who carries a Hinderer shouldn't really have a problem with this. I mean, the same people who are complaining that this is thick behind the edge, I've seen carrying Hinderers, and frankly, those are just as thick, if not thicker, behind the edge. So, absolutely love this. Spyderco Paysan has been a great, the CQI update has been excellent this year. All right, I think we're at 11, right? So, this is another knife that sort of came out, and I'll tell you, my top 11 through 15 are pretty much mostly knives that came out and had certain versions that are different. But here is the Benchmade tagged out, and I think this came out in 2022, but the new versions of it came out in 2023. And frankly, the best looking version is this one, but the thumb studs gave this a dimension that really make it feel like this feels exactly like a larger Bugout. And I know people have been, clamoring, anyone who thinks the Bugout's a little bit small, and the Bugout's one of Benchmade's all-time great knives, right? So when you all of a sudden have a knife that is a larger version of it, and unlike the bailout, isn't a tanto, but is a very usable blade that has a lot of flat and then enough belly, going into a drop or clip point here. This is an excellent knife. These versions are a little bit pricey, and honestly, these would probably be higher if they weren't so pricey. But this base version, is excellent on its own, and is totally worth it if you want to check out the base version. The base version, of course, was out in 2022, but the reason, like I said, that I decided to go ahead and put this knife in for 2023 was because that thumb stud makes such a difference, because it really feels like a Bugout now. It feels like a Benchmade, like an Axis lock knife. Axis lock knives really feel like they should have thumb studs. If you're a Benchmade guy, you know what I'm talking about. A 940, the Bugout, they all have thumb studs. They don't, and the Axis lock. They don't have, a Spidey hole. I know the Griptilian has a Spidey hole version, but let's be real, it's not. It's the coolest version, and a lot of people like that version, but it doesn't feel like a Benchmade, right? This feels like a Benchmade, and in a good way, and frankly is nice and light. And it has this select edge on it, which is a very, very thin edge. I mean, if you look at the edge on here, you're getting very, very thin edge. So if you're looking for a slicer, this is the knife, right? The Benchmade tagged out. All right. Number 10. And I'm going to hit up another Benchmade honorable mention before we get to number 10. The Benchmade CLA came out in a G10 version this year. Again, too expensive. The price came down a little bit. There's a green version and this white version. The price came down a little bit after it didn't sell well at the original price point. But frankly, the CLA is one of Benchmade's all-time, great autos. And, it had that Grivery, on it before. And this version has CPM MagnaCut and G10, and that material upgrade did wonders for the feel of the knife, and it's just a really, really good design. But again, it's honorable mention because it's not really on the list. All right, number 10. This knife really surprised me. This is the Kershaw Launch 18. Now, the Kershaw Launch series is Kershaw's American-made automatic series of knives. So, obviously check legality where you are, because and we already talked about the CLA a little bit. That's an automatic too. And I know that automatics aren't legal everywhere, but this is an excellent automatic. I am not a small knife guy, as you guys know, and this is a smaller knife that's an automatic that really, I could not take it out of my pocket for quite a while. The Kershaw does really well. A lot of their in-house designs have this spear point blade, mainly because it's super useful. But as you can see, this is a fully flat ground blade here that is a spear point blade, and the thickness on this is really, really good, and then comes to a taper. And so this is a really useful blade shape because it's sturdy. It has a flat grind, so it comes to a decently thin edge, and it has enough room here to get there. As you can see on the edge, it has the it comes down to a really useful point that can be used, because the knife is so small, as a detail work point like this, or it can be used for piercing and pulling of like opening packages and all sorts of other stuff. Frankly, you could probably even use it in other applications where you need to pierce and open something up, right? But this knife right here is excellent. It really hits really decently hard, very hard. Among the Kershaw knives that I have, this is one of the harder hitting Kershaw knives, and so I absolutely love this. It is a price point that the price point is a big deal on what makes it so great. I think these are running like 130, 135, and these have CPM 154, which, look, it's sort of a modern super steel, sort of not. S30V, I guess people would think of as being slightly above it. CPM 154 is something that's used on, ProTech uses 154 CM, which is basically the same thing, but this is the powder metallurgy version. A lot of high-end makers use CPM 154 because it is like for their customs, because it's easy to work with. But it is really, really easy to field sharpen this. With a CPM 154, you're going to get nice, just a really well-rounded performance on the CPM 154 steel. So it's decently corrosion resistant. It'll hold an edge for you, and it's still easy to sharpen nonetheless, and it's still pretty tough regardless. So this is just an excellent all-around knife. This is one of those knives where it's like they did everything right, and it's just amazing all around. There's really nothing to complain about on this, and honestly, I'm kind of regretting not putting it a little bit higher in the count because it deserves it. But I'll stick with the way where I have it because I'm talking myself up right now. But this thing is one of the best knives just all around from tip to end that I've had in a long time. And like I said, despite being a small knife, full 4-finger grip, large size gloves, this thing is excellent. By the way, guys, there's links below. If you guys see any knives that you like in this video, and this is one of the ones that I really highly recommend you get if you don't have it, there's links below. Use my links, they help out the channel. Really appreciate you guys in general. This is number 9. This is the Amphibian. Now, the Amphibian also is a design that came out previously with Microtech. They obviously have had the knife out for a while. They have also had the MSI come out recently. And frankly, I think the MSI has been on a lot of people's 2023 lists. I'll tell you why I don't have it on mine. Now, I think they may have come out with an aluminum version of this at some point, but this is the G10 version. I don't like the G10 version as much as the milled aluminum that is on the Amphibian. It just doesn't, this feels cheap compared to the milled aluminum. I just have to be honest. It is what it is. Also, I've seen a lot of complaints at the spine whack. Now, I'm not a fan of the spine whack test, but I've done some recent videos and showed you that both of these knives survived the spine whack test, even when I made the spine whacks really hard. But there's been some anecdotal evidence, and I think Knives and some other channels have posted the ram lock failing on the MSI, at least on a couple of other channels. So the MSI doesn't make the list, not because of the spine whack stuff, but mainly because Well, the ergonomics I didn't like as much on the MSI as I liked on the Amphibian, and the fact that it came in the milled aluminum made a big difference for me, and also the opening hole versus the thumb stud here. Like I said, I'm kind of a thumb stud guy and really prefer those thumb studs. But this has been an excellent knife. I like, people are scared of recurves. This recurve isn't too pronounced. I don't think anyone should really be scared of recurves, but Microtech did an excellent job on these. I am so looking forward to milled aluminum stuff on all of their Ramlock knives. I think they're coming out, if they haven't already, with milled aluminum on all of those, and frankly, I just absolutely love them. I am a big fan of the Stitch. I didn't get the Ramlock version of the Stitch. Frankly, I think that I haven't tried it yet, so maybe I'll like it, but frankly, I think this is probably the one that I'm going to like the most out of the Ramlock bunch. So, very, very happy with this. Biggest complaint I have with the Ramlock, which is a really nice lock. Obviously, it's got the top. You can't really pull back on the top. But it's kind of like an axis lock with a, kind of like the same axis lock that the Anthem has. If you see inside the Anthem, there's a straight spring, right? And same here, there's a straight spring. It's not the Omega springs that you'll see in the other stuff. But I really like the Ramlock in general. And so hopefully they'll work out the kinks with the MSI stuff. Tony Marfione, I don't know if he ever really listens to the criticism people give him, but maybe he'll take that criticism and work constructively on it. But yeah, this is, the other thing I really liked about this versus the MSI is the clip. So I don't know if they updated the MSI clip since the original ones came out, but this milled titanium clip makes a huge difference. This MSI clip is a little sucky, and you kind of get that sound. Hate that sound, whereas this titanium clip is probably the best Microtech clip that I've ever had. So very psyched about this clip. All right. Next up, I think we have number 8. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, this is number 9. Sorry, that was number 10. So the launch was number 11. I must have skipped that. The launch was number 11. The Amphibian was number 10. Now we're on number 9, which is the Snex, what is this? The Vision R. Snex Vision R from CIVI. So the CIVI Vision R by Snex, the design by Snex. So this knife has taken the knife world by storm. And frankly, so we came out with a version of it in, I think, 2022 or 2021. And the, custom had a pocket clip that was like up on the side over here, like the old Graham Razels. And I guess people didn't like it. And I never actually got that version, mainly because I just didn't think I would like it with that pocket clip the way it was. But they updated that, and they also updated the fact that the pocket clip, or the back here, so the bar on here did the same thing that this does, where it like comes up like that, right? People didn't like that on the Wii. I guess people didn't think it was safe. So they fixed it here so that on the CIVI, I guess because of the price point, they know knife guys are, non-knife guys are going to be getting this too, in addition to knife guys. And so they pulled it here so you can't really disengage it. And it's not going to do that. That being said, it works a lot like the Shark Lock, the Demco does, and is just a joy to use. Obviously you can use it. What I like to do is put my finger here underneath and then disengage it there and catch it with my finger. Obviously I'm catching it with a non-sharp portion. But this is really, really fidget friendly. Absolutely love this thing, for the fidget factor. I think the Damascus that they did on here is beautiful. There's a little bit of interruption there, as you can see. And I think the white G10 on here really complements it very well. For $100, this is a huge value, guys. This is a huge value. Absolutely recommend this thing for $100. I think the micarta versions are even cheaper, like $80, and they have a black blade. Those are fantastic too. CIVI just does a great job all around, and this is one of my favorite knives under $100 for the entire year. All right, so that is number 9, I believe. Okay. Number 8 is another budget knife. It is the Kershaw ARIUM. So this is a $65 knife, and if you do not have one of these, go click the link below and get one. These are made in China, so that is the big drawback. This is not a USA-made Kershaw. That is the only thing that I do not like about this knife. Everything else about this knife I absolutely love. Not that I don't buy knives from China. Obviously, I get to have the Rayot and the CIVI and everything like that. But I like to support USA-made knives when I can. This knife, the Kershaw ARIUM, is another in-house design by Kershaw. And see, that's the logo for their in-house design right there. It looks kind of like a Star Wars logo, Rebel Alliance logo. So this is another one with a spear point blade, kind of like the Launch 18. Obviously, they're working off of similar design aesthetic on those. But again, this is just as useful, this blade, as for the same reasons as the Launch 18. And this is the best execution I have found of an axis lock or crossbar lock. It's the best execution of a crossbar lock that I found in, knives under $75. I'm sure people are going to drop comments below. What about this knife? What about that knife? This is the one. This is the one that I've found that has the best execution of the crossbar lock, and so it's just really, really good. It is on bearings, so it is so smooth. As you can see, I had it sideways before, so it wasn't really working. But when I have it up and down, you can see just how smooth it is. Absolutely smooth. And the clip on here is very nice. It gives you almost a full deep carry. Obviously, a little bit is sticking up. It gives you a little bit of contrast in the color here, which I like. And these are aluminum handles. I guess the only other thing that I would criticize is these could do with some texturing on the handles. I do not find that they're slippery, but nonetheless, they are smooth and a little bit slick. The reason I don't find they're slippery is because the way the handle's designed, your hand really locks in, and I don't really have an issue with any slipping in my hand or anything. But again, it's a little bit slippery. The steel on here is, I believe, CPM D2. Yep, D2. And so for $65, you're getting a D2 Kershaw with really, really good design. One of the best Kershaw designs I've seen in a long time come out of a non-USA Kershaw. And the execution on here is, it is light years above what like the Kershaw Cryo's execution is, right? You got a Cryo out of China for Kershaw, and the Cryo, honestly, the execution sucks. It just sucks. But the execution on this is very, very good, and I definitely recommend this. Next up at number 7. This is a knife I think a lot of other people had ranked higher as well, but this is the Flightanium Arcade. This has the Shark Lock from Demco. They licensed it from Demco for the purposes of building this knife. You can get things like this is Ultim right here, titanium, and I believe M390, or no, S35VN. Okay, so these are all premium materials. I don't really like Ultim, to be honest, but this is the version that I like the best out of the ones they had. You can buy the aftermarket inserts from Flightanium on this, and they have all sorts of stuff. You can get like Mokume and like Timascus and micarta and I believe other stuff too. I don't remember everything they give, but you can customize this. Very customizable, very cool thing that they do here. There are a couple drawbacks on this. As you can see, the pocket clip is not recessed. I believe the pocket clip is painted, so you're going to see wear on the pocket clip, and it's a steel pocket clip, not titanium as far as I can tell. Actually, let's test that theory right now. So I have a magnet. Yep, it's steel. Okay. So it is, and I could feel it, just that it was steel without even testing it, but I just wanted to make sure while I was talking to you guys. But the Shark Lock on here is much, much more fun than even the Vision R lock, the Super Lock on the Vision R. It's even more fun than that. And frankly, it takes everything that the Shark Lock did on the 8020 and the 8020S. This is the 8020.5 right here. But it did everything the Shark Lock did and just took it and put it on a knife that is a normal knife profile. You know, the Demkos are always these crazy, like, you know, fit in your hand, conform to your hand type of profiles. And that works for some people and not for others. But this is a much more nice neutral handle. The blade is much more contemporary in how it's executed. And so, you know, it's just a regular drop point knife, titanium. It's basically a simple design that is executed extremely well. And for $200 is honestly a steal of a deal. I really love this thing. And there's not much else to say about that. It's just really, really fun. And it gives you a little bit different feel than so if you're a big lover of the 8020 and 8020.5, this gives you a little bit different feel of the same lock, and it's just a lot of fun. So it's also a little bit lighter. All right, a little bit lighter, I guess, than the titanium ones. I should say it's not lighter than the Gravity ones. Okay, next up at number excuse me, number 6. I keep losing count. The CKF Gnome. So the CKF Gnome has a lot of what I absolutely love in a knife. Just a lot of the best things that I like to see in a knife. And one of them is really nice milling, right? So this is a really weird pattern. Honestly, it feels a little weird. And you could see it's kind of like a weird texture. And it feels weird when you do it, but it really, like, it gives you something to appreciate literally every time you hold on to the knife, and you just feel it and you're like, oh, that's a really cool feature on here, you know, and you could feel it's wide enough that you could sort of feel in between each of these, which is not something you see on a lot of micro milled stuff. I enjoy the accent here, the copper accent on the pivot. It's got a nice Timascus 3D milled clip, which is beautiful in the way they do it. Absolutely love that. The blade is hand rubbed satin without any logos or anything. It's completely bare, except for I think it has just the steel here, M390, and the serial number. And then the maker's mark is right here on the back of the pivot, which I think is a really cool detail. What I really like about this, more than anything else, is that I like knives that fit my hand, like, just they're the perfect size for my hand. This is a large size glove again. And there's not much room between the end of my pointer, right, and the beginning of the blade. It makes me feel like I have a lot more control over the knife. And this is exactly what this knife does. This knife is like the perfect size for my hand. And it's really one of the main reasons that this is just one of my favorite knives of 2023. Now, I will say this flipper tab is not the best front flipper tab I've ever had. This is the biggest drawback to the knife, honestly. If they made this just a little bit longer here, that would be it would be much more functional. It's just not quite enough above the pivot. And there are times where I go to open it and it, you know, I'll like misfire on it, right? So that's not fun. But overall, this knife is an excellent knife, and you know, for the price, and I know it's like $500 plus. I think this was like $600 as like around that price range. But you can get them on the secondary now for about $500. But at that price, as far as CKFs go, it's a good price on a CKF, and especially considering you get the Timascus clip, and just the finishing is excellent on these as always. I just love carrying this. It's just a really, really good, simple design. Love it. All right. Next up, number 5. So, an update to a great knife. One of the best knives that I've ever reviewed. I think I've reviewed this one, or at least I put it in a top 10, one of the top 10 videos in like 2020 maybe. Was 2019, 2020, something like that. Is the Quiet Carry Waypoint. Well, they came out with the Waypoint LC, which is a larger version of the Waypoint, and the LC has the added benefit of it has the same titanium frame as the, yeah, basically the same titanium frame, maybe a little thicker, as the Waypoint. And then it has contoured G10 that's textured. And as you can see, it really fills out the hand. This thing, because this always felt a little thin, right? It's a super thin knife. It just is a thin, slim, pocketable knife, kind of like, you know, the, what do you call it? The Spyderco Chaparral, right? It's just a very thin, pocketable knife. The Waypoint LC is not a thin knife. It is a very thick knife that really fills out the hand extremely well. Has a nice neutral handle. Now, I think they only did these for a limited time. These CNC, the CNC step milling here. I think they only did for a limited time on these, but now they have like hollow ground. But the grind on these are awesome. This is probably the sharpest out of the box knife I've ever gotten out of anywhere, any company, anything, period. This thing was and it was very toothy, like the kind that just grabs your, like when you do that fingernail test where you try to see if it grabs on your fingernail. It just was grabbing onto like your fingernail like nobody's business. It would like grab onto paper, grab onto boxes, grab onto like whatever. And this thing would cut amazingly. The action on this is super smooth. The detent is excellent on this. As you can see, it really it builds up a good amount of kinetic energy and then just rockets out. Absolutely great knife. These are $300. I think $295 on Quiet Carry's website. I think they're still available in both black and blue G10. And this is another one that's this is a great knife. I can't believe these aren't sold out. Kind of the state of the knife market, I think. But these are excellent. That's number 5. All right. Number 4. This is a knife that existed before, but it's in a new form this year. I think it was this year. Honestly, I'm not sure if they made this form in 2022. You guys can let me know down there in the comments. But the George VCP in the button lock version. So the button lock version of this, I think, came out either last year or this year. But I got mine this year, and this is the Damascus version. And the absolute smoothness on this is excellent. I love that. You know, it's that titanium, the Morpho design on this version. And if you want to see the flat version, so this is the frame lock version of it, but this is what their flat titanium looks like. And they make the button lock in both versions. But it's really cool because it has this housing in the back where the button lock pushes in the piece that holds the blade is right there. I don't know if you can see it, and it gets pushed into this housing when you push the button lock down. So you can see how it disappears into that housing. So I haven't seen a whole lot of knives that do that with this housing on the back, but it's kind of cool because it gives your finger something to rest on when you're pushing it and when you swing it out, right? So I kind of like it for that reason, and then you can always use the thumb stud if you want to. And then when you go ahead and push, you know, the knife together to go back, again, you're sort of pushing on both sides of the button at once, which is kind of cool. I like it anyway. It's a weird quirk to this knife and one that I really like, but the Rockeye in general has always been a great George design. The VCP is made on that Rockeye platform, and this I think is just a new way to make the Rockeye just even better than it was, and a new way to enjoy it that wasn't available before. So this is number 4. Number 3, and the top 3, but guys, by the way, are knives that honestly I didn't expect any of these to be in my top 3 when I bought them. Not a single one of these did I expect to be in my top 3 when I bought them. Number 3, the Knives GTC Collaboration Solid. So this thing, I expected to like it a little bit. Honestly, I expected to sell it after I reviewed it, and I have not. I have hung on to it. I absolutely love this. This is an integral, as you can see, which means that it's milled from one piece of titanium. and they mill it inside. And look how small that area is that they're milling in it. You know, if you look at, you know, the integral that we looked at before, which is the Anthem. Look at that. They really do a good job of getting in there and milling this thing out, you know, with precision. It is beautiful. And I really like the way that, you know, the aesthetic on here is, I know it's very like robotic or something, or futuristic, I guess. I want to call it cybernetic, but they have another knife called the cybernetic that that is not quite the same. So so this is a really cool thing, and it's present on both sides. The clip sort of rides down the midline here, and then you have the lock bar relief right here, which goes on the other side of the knife right here. And I haven't seen too much of that where the lock bar relief is translated on the other side too. And then when you put the knife down, watch this compound grind on the blade sort of marries with that. Look at that! It like marries with that line that is the lock bar relief, which is really cool. And then it goes down, and you've got, you know, where it's almost completely encased. You just have this sort of like one little area where it was, you know, it gives you that little ridge. I think they just did that to, you know, as to have one additional design feature on here on the blade, you know, to give it a more like, it's going down here, it's going up and going down again. But I think they could have left that off, to be honest. And then you would have had most of this encased within the knife, which would have been cool. This has the GTC, I think it's, what is it? GTC stands for like Grant Sakini or something. I don't know. Sakini is the guy's name who did the SLT, spring-loaded tab is what it is. So there's a spring in here, and as you can see, it sort of comes back, and then you just load it up with kinetic energy and pull, and then it's flat underneath, doesn't come out the other side. So really, really cool thing. You have a nice, you know, like thicker grind here, compound grind, where you have a saber grind here, and then you have a full flat coming over here the rest of the way. For the most part, obviously, then you've got a little swedge up here. So this is a really cool design all around, and it feels different than most other knives when you open it, and then it feels different than most other knives when you close it, which, and you know, the closing feel is a lot due to the fact that it's an integral, but the opening feel is mostly due to that spring-loaded tab and the fact that it's an integral. So just absolutely love it, and this came in a couple different versions. I think they're sold out in a lot of places. They might still be available. If they're available, you know, $400-ish for a titanium integral is a steal of a deal. This is one you will not regret getting. It is pretty large actually for what it is. I did have the ZT-0055 at one point when it came out. This obviously is a little bit similar because the SLT spring-loaded tab and Grant Sakini were involved in those. That was a collaboration with GTC also, but this knife I really, really love. It's a lot of fun. I carry this around the house and just drive my wife nuts with it. Fantastic. Let's see, number two. Number two is a knife. It's kind of a remake of a knife that came out in 2022, and it is the Launch 16. So Kershaw's Launch series obviously is on this list twice. Kershaw has been hitting it out of the park with their Launch series. Okay, like I said, the other one was 134, 130, 134, something like that. This one is, I think that this is 160, 165 in most places. Guys, this is aluminum and M4, okay? This is basically, I mean, aluminum and S30V was your standard Benchmade stuff at like $180 to $200 for years. The build quality on this is at least as good as those Benchmades were for years, and this is at 160, 165 in price, and it's M4. They sharpen it well. Their serrations are good if you want the serrated version. Their the straight edge version is, the plain edge version is excellent as well. The plain edge version obviously comes in green. You have this, kind of rough 3M tape here. This is kind of like skateboard tape almost. That gives you really, really nice grip. The knife comes out and really fires hard, which is excellent. It really has the feel of if you remember several years ago when you were looking at Benchmades from about $180 to $200. Those knives are more expensive now. They're in the mid 200s now. But this has that feel at $165. And again, M4 steel. M4 is probably my favorite steel on a folder. I probably would say M4 Crewwear and S90V are probably my three favorite steels. And no, MagnaCut isn't in my top three. MagnaCut's probably my fourth. But, this is one of my favorite steels. M4 holds an edge forever. It does corrode, but obviously you've got a coated blade here. That'll stop it from corroding, in most applications, as long as you're not stupid about how you store your knife. But, yeah, this is... The feel of this, the ergonomics are excellent. It's the perfect size. It has a deep carry clip. Obviously, it's not recessed. Kind of wish it was. But the clip is long enough. It works. Doesn't get in the way of anything. The aluminum is great. The build quality is great on this. Like I said, the grind is excellent on here. As you can see, the tip, the strength goes out all the way to the tip right here. And then you finally get a fine taper right here at the end. So you're going to have really good tip strength on this. And this is just a great overall design. Again, USA made by Kershaw for $165 with M4 and aluminum. I mean, Kershaw has been surprising the hell out of me this year. The only thing I don't like about this knife, there's really only one thing I don't like about this knife. It's the button location. So I really wish the button location was a little bit more to the side, like you'll see in these knives. Or, in like the TR3 and ProTech, you'll see them more to the side, like more to the top. I'll give you an example. Here, I'll flash a flashy knife here. But the ProTech Malibu, right? This is a button lock. The button lock is over here. This is the, obviously, a custom Malibu. I'll just show this off for a second. Slight flex. But you can see the difference. Generally in autos, I prefer that button to be up here. So you just have to get used to the fact that it's in a different spot than you expect. And also it's pretty recessed. So as you can see here, you have to intentionally open this up if you're wearing gloves. Okay, so you can wear gloves and open it up. It does work. But you have to sort of use more intention when you're opening it up with gloves. So those are the two big drawbacks. But otherwise, this is excellent. This is number 2 for the year. And again, links below, guys. Get that one if you haven't gotten that one. All right, number 1. This is one that surprised me. I did not expect it to be this one. I ordered this just not knowing what to expect. Honestly, not thinking that it would... I like this brand, and I have probably 12 or so knives from this brand, and they're all very expensive. So, it's not a brand you buy lightly. But this is the knife of the year. This is the Medford Balisong, the Medford Viceroy. I did not think that a Medford Balisong would be my knife of the year. Knife of the year 2023, the Medford Viceroy. My mind is blown. Frankly, guys, whoops, I'm going to pull this up because it's hard to do this, but you can see just how, how the handles are on here. You can see the milling. Let me go ahead and pull this down a little bit again. You can see the milling on here. Look at that milling. Absolutely love it. It gives you great grip to turn. These cutouts give you excellent grip to turn. It is, by the way, this is integral construction on these, also integral titanium. So it has that, that channel design that a lot of flippers like. And frankly, it's got these holes, are great for a lot of different tricks. I'm not the best Balisong flipper, but I'm pretty decent with the stuff I do know. And frankly, this is excellent. I would do some tricks on here, but frankly, it's been a long night, and I've got my, I don't know if you guys can see it over here, but I've got all my knife cases and stuff over here. So better for me not to, to scratch up my knife cases throwing the balisong around, but this is excellent, and I was just blown away. This runs like, I think it was $750 or $800, something like that, $775, something like that. But damn, this has just been excellent. Let me see, the steel on this is S45VN. It looks like that 4 is S45VN, and you can see the grind lines on here. Nice tanto, just beautiful all the way around. I don't know if you guys can hear fireworks in the background. Apparently, I've been talking so long, I missed the ball drop in Central Time. But I was too excited to deal with these things, and this is absolutely my favorite knife of the year. I will do a much fuller review on this at some point, and then you can see some balisong flipping. But yeah, this is so nice. This is up there with just about any other high-end bally on the market, frankly. I was shocked. I thought this was going to be a slow open, not for flipping type of bally. And this is better than, honestly, this is better than my replicant and better than my Alpha Beast. I honestly, I like flipping it more than my, well, I don't know. The Kraken, the Crackeraken, or whatever you want to call it, from Squid Industries, is one of the best. This gives you a different feel than the Kraken. Let me put it that way. This gives you a different feel than the Kraken, but I think I enjoy flipping this one just a little bit more because it has a lot of, it gives you a little bit more of a different feel than the Kraken. You know what, I'll flip both and I'll sort of give you guys a better understanding of what that is. I'm not explaining it well here, but just trust me on this. This is excellent and highly recommend it. Knife of the Year 2023. Thank you guys for watching. This has almost been an hour, and I cannot believe it's been this long. But if you watch through the end, I am super appreciative. Thanks so much. And if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe, and await more content. Thank you.